Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and humanoids of all ages, and welcome back to another episode of Crusaders Kings 2, with venvenn leading the way.
Yep, teaching as I go.
Teaching as you go, never stopping. Right, where did we leave off last time then?
Well, we talked about the kind of basics of the UI and kind of just what the game's kind of, looks like, how to get into it, what selecting countries is like, and just how the map modes work, just basically how to interface with the game. Now, next up, how to actually play is a bit of a more topic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of address this part of the video in two parts.
Okay, cool.
Part one is just kind of, you can see the buttons at the top left there, so that's going to be part one, going into what these are, what they mean, and how to use them.
Oh yeah, we said we would cover this next time.
And so, and part two is going to be more about kind of notifications and what we can do with that, as well as the actual counties and what we can do with that. So just kind of, part one is, the buttons up there. Part two is kind of rest of the game. And then pretty much good to go. And then next video we can have a practice couple of years. See how we go.
Practice a couple of years, see how things go.
Yeah, so the first bit obviously you can see up here is the council, so you click that there. You've got your councillor, so this is, again, I think Game of Thrones...
it's good drawings.
Yeah, no, the portraits are really good. So the Game of Thrones is obviously a good example of this, because it's based on medieval culture a lot of the time. So you can see, like the small council, this is your council.
Okay.
So much like you've got your steward who's Littlefinger and all that. There's actually a fantastic Game of Thrones mod for this game, which we will have to do a couple of tries at some point. But first we're gonna learn the game.
Definitely, man.
So yeah, I'll go through them. So the Chancellor is kind of takes care of your diplomacy. So they're all, you can notice that they've all kind of got their own, like the stats. They've got their own kind of position. So each of the positions is based around one of the stats, and so you want to put someone with high stats in that position. However, also your high lords, so the people who are actually landholders and like big noble families, they want to be on the council. So a lot of the time you've got to balance out people with good stats and people with like high birth and like lots of land and stuff within your empire or kingdom or duchy, because you don't want to disappoint. So people will get very angry if they're not on the council when they feel like they should be. So essentially, the first position is your Chancellor, and what that does is they've each got 3 abilities. The first ability is to improve diplomatic relations. So say you we'll try this now. If you click on that, improve diplomatic relations, and then click on not your land, but the vassal of yours' land.
Okay, yep. He's there now.
What that does now is he, I presume, doesn't like you too much. He likes you 3. That's out of 100. So you could stand to like him. The more he likes you, the better you're gonna get on as vassals.
Nice.
As vassal and lords. So it's best to have him liking you. So if you hover over that, it'll say there's a percent, like the button to improve diplomatic relations. It says there's a percentage every year that he'll increase your relations. But sadly, all good things come with a risk. There's a smaller percentage of a chance that he'll screw things up and decrease your relations.
Yeah, there's a 10% chance of that happening.
Alright, so your Chancellor's worse than mine then.
Yeah.
Next up, he can actually fabricate claims. And what this does, if you put him in a county, then he can actually, the best play for Ireland is to be doing this early on, but this is just just for learning, so it's not really about best optimal skill. But fabricating claims are good, because if you don't have a claim for war and you really want to expand your land, then you can fabricate your claim on a nearby kind of like county to kind of like forge some documents to say, oh yeah, back then I used to own it, and my family's actually got a claim in this land, and it's a weak claim. It's because there's strong and weak claims. It's counted as a weak claim. However, you can still press it and it's all fine. So you can declare war for it, and that's the important bit.
Cool.
Then you've got sow dissent, and what that does is it decreases the opinion of the vassal and their liege lord. And so if you want to just kind of like make someone hate the lord a bit more, maybe incite them to revolt, that's what you want to be doing.
Oh, so you can overthrow them and dominate them, sort of thing.
Or if you've got an enemy realm and you want to make the enemy realm weaker, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of kind of like high strategy you can do with those kinds of stuff. Next up is the marshal.
Just want to say, my council is not very good at all. I mean, like, the possible outcomes is 10.13.
What's his skill in diplomacy?
8.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
Yeah.
See, what the game does is it starts you off with all of your lords on your council. You can change that. I wouldn't just now, though. We'll get into that. But you can see in the point button, if you click on that, don't actually do anything. But if you click on that, it gives you a list of people in your realm.
Oh, I see. I've got one guy literally who's 50.
Yeah.
It's just
So
better.
again, it's up to you to decide. Don't just do anything just now. It's up to you to decide. Do I want my one of my vassals to have the position, or do I want someone who's good at it to have the position?
Yeah.
So these are people from your court that you can put onto being on the council. Yeah. So do you want efficient lords or happy? Do you want an efficient council or happy lords? Next up, yeah, marshal. So
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, my marshal's good. I like him.
that's good.
15.
You can use them to suppress revolts, like we talked about last episode. If they've got a county that's really red, so high revolt risk, you can put him in there to suppress revolts, and that makes it more likely that he's gonna, makes the peasants less likely to revolt. Then you've got trained troops, which will give you more armies. So say it's you think, oh, I might need to declare war soon. You put him in your capital, say, and he trains up some more troops, so you've got a few more troops for when you need to declare war. And then there's research military technology, and that's you put him like in your capital, and he helps research technologies. And we'll get to technology eventually. That's the third one on the buttons up there.
He's got quite low possible outcomes, which is so he's got military dual accent 2.7%, and military sequence revealed 3.84%.
Yeah, well,
That's pretty good.
yeah. So it's a decent one. So there's little risk to having a good marshal research and technology. Next up is your steward. So what he can do is collect taxes. It's pretty self-explanatory. You get a boost to your tax.
God, I need to get rid of this guy. He's got 0.
0. Well, yeah, you'll need to get rid of him. But once we start episode 3, I'm not sure we'll need to split this video into 2 parts. But episode 3, which might be video 4, is going to be just the first few years of gameplay. And I think first step is get rid of shitty councillors.
He's a bishop. No.
If you can, I mean, you can afford to piss off the church at this point. There's no real reason not to. So yeah, there's collect taxes. Go if you really need money. You collect taxes. However, peasants may attack the steward.
Yeah.
And there's risk of that.
It's
Obviously, construct. You can build things. You can build things in your castles and your cities and stuff, and so that lets them oversee construction and makes it go a bit faster.
She's gonna sabotage by 32%. Jesus Christ. What?
And then you can also use them to research economy technology. So there's 3 kinds of technology: military, economy, and cultural technology. So your spy master, what they can do is they can scheme, which gives you a chance to discover plots against you or one of your lords or someone in your court, and you can see other possible outcomes there. There's lots of stuff that could happen. So you could uncover the plot, you could get attacked, that kind of stuff. There's also building a spy network, which if you put him in a council of someone you're trying to, say, assassinate, then it gives you a higher chance, it gives you more plot power, so a higher chance that you're going to be able to assassinate them. And then you can also use it to study technology. And what that allows you to do is if you put them in somewhere with a lot more technology than you, they can steal technology from them and bring it back to you.
Oh yeah, it's only 1.38% chance being discovered.
Yeah, so it can be quite rare, but it's really useful when it happens, because then it gives you, I think, 50 technology points, which is quite a lot.
That's good.
So then you got your court chaplain. So you can first one is using as conversion. So say you've got a county that's not the same religion as you, you can put him there and he'll convert people, lords and peasants alike, to that religion. You can also use them to research cultural technology, as well as improve religious relations. So what that does is it makes a religious vassal, like a bishop, like you more. And the reason you want to do that is how churches work in the game is they pay taxes to either you or the Pope, depending on who they like more. So that's why you might want to use them to improve religious relations. So on this tab as well, you've got minor titles. So if you go to that, these are kind of like on your council, but not really important positions. So you court eunuch, your designated regent. So that's the person who takes over if you are ill, or if your heir is like 5 or something, he'll take over. Otherwise, if you don't have a designated regent, then someone random from your court, or not random, but someone inserts themselves into the position. So you've got, court eunuchs, court dwarves, court jesters, like small positions. Some of them will increase opinions of you. So what you can do is you can hand out these kind of titles to, if you want lords to like you more. However, making someone your court jester is an insult. So if you want to piss someone off.
I've actually got that. I've got cupbearer, so I mean that's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, and then you've also got commanders, so you can shuffle these around. So these are the people who will be leading your army, so your generals.
Yeah, I've got 4 of them.
Yeah, so you can put people in those positions, whoever you want. It tends to be, there's 2 things you want to think about here, and that's martial of that person, and also their combat modifiers. So some people have traits that are kind of combat modifiers, so they can have like, cavalry leader, or like leads from the flank, leads from the rear, that kind of stuff, or like focuses on the center. And so they'll what they do is they can make drastic changes to battles. So like even if they've got less martial than someone else, they can be a better general because they are experts at one particular thing. Like leading cavalry, so like you can put them in charge and they'll be really good at leading cavalry, that kind of stuff. Next up's another new feature, which is called the council. So although you had always had a council before, this is kind of like a new idea that it's a lot more Game of Thrones-y, in that your council can actually have a lot more power over the kingdom. And so depending on your laws, you can either empower the council or have it like, so either you're a complete control, or the council, if the council's in power, then it depends on the laws what they're in control of. So they can be in control of either like pretty much everything or like nothing. So, and there could be stuff like laws, like handing out titles, that kind of stuff. And they will all vote, and so their positions on things are decided by them declaring what kind of position they take. So if a zealot is someone who kind of like takes the best interest of God, that kind of stuff. Pragmatists usually quite good. They tend to side with their liege lord, but will like take things into account, what's best for the realm, what's best for them. A malcontent is someone who will pretty much just go against whatever you go for because they don't like you and they want to see you, taken down. Glory hound is someone who'll do something that will benefit themselves the most, or like will lead them to glory. And so there's also a button you can see, enforce realm peace, and so vassals can fight each other. And so if your council's empowered, then you can enforce realm peace to make them stop. It's also a grayed out button you should see, liege council, and so that'll see, say you're a duke in a kingdom, so you'll have your own council, but you'll also be you might be part of your liege's council, so you can see whatever the king's council is, so you could be part of that. So next up, so that this is, you'll spend a lot of time on this screen because there's a lot of reappointing councillors or changing commanders around, that kind of stuff, and you'll be wanting to use your councillors for stuff. So you spend a lot of time in this first screen. Laws are very important, which is the next tab, so the next button.
Got it.
So you've got your kind of like kingdom laws. So yeah, the laws of the kind of inheritance are the first thing. So you've got your list of kind of like the line succession. So you've got your heir first, and then whoever's next in line, and then so on. The pretenders, they're called, and they're kind of decided on depending what gender and succession laws you have. So there's 3 kinds of gender laws. Agnatic, cognatic, which means women and men can inherit, but it's heavily weighted for men. So for instance, stuff like if there's 2 daughters and one of the daughters has a son, then they will inherit rather than the other daughter, stuff like that. So it's women can inherit if there's no men, however like men are preferable. So if a daughter's born first and then a man, the man inherits, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Agnatic is completely men, no women at all, so women can't inherit.
One question on that. If you have an agnatic, chondritic cavalkind, does that mean if, so say you've got 2 daughters that are older and you have a son that's the youngest, does he become the next successor?
Young will become the successor, yeah.
Okay.
So absolute cognatic is complete kind of equal. Like men and women are seen as equals in succession, and so there's no weighted system. However, that's hard to get because you have to be certain religions, certain cultures, or have kind of absolute full status of women in your country, which is hard to get. It's quite late game. So then you've got your succession laws, and there's a lot of these. I'll explain them all briefly. You can go into more detail when we need to. But Gavelkin, elective Gavelkin, how they work is your heir gets your primary title, so the duchy. But say you own 2 counties and you have 2 sons. Each of your sons your heir gets your capital and your duchy, and the other son gets the other county. So your lands are divided up between your sons. The difference between elective Gavelkin and Gavelkin is elective Gavelkin, you decide which son gets your main title. Seniority is the oldest member of your dynasty inherits everything. Elective monarchy is all the lords in your realm can vote for each other, as well as your dynasty, to be in charge. And I don't like that one because that means you can actually lose the game if they all vote for like someone who's not in your dynasty. Tanistry is an interesting one because they can kind of like nominate an heir from amongst the members of the ruler's dynasty. So it's a bit like elective monarchy, but for the whole dynasty rather than all the lords. So it's a bit better. And then there's primogeniture and ultimogeniture. I'm not quite sure if I'm saying those right, but primogeniture is the oldest child inherits absolutely everything. So I think that's the best one because your oldest son will be the oldest, so you won't be you should not be a kid. Hopefully, if your life goes okay. And
unfortunately, he's already 18, so I mean, it's pretty much
so you're not gonna. So if you got primogeniture, then you won't lose any of your titles to your sons when you die and become your heir. Ultimogeniture is the same thing. It's except the youngest child inherits everything rather than the oldest child. And so those are all the inheritance systems. And the thing at the bottom is like a nice little graphic and the kind of like name of the type of like government all your laws and everything add up to.
Nice.
Yeah, so mine's is a hereditary despotic kingdom.
Oh, mine's same but duchies.
Yeah, so like stuff over you can get like absolute empire. I think if you become a Zunist, which is it's an old-fashioned paganism in Afghanistan, you've got like you can be like Empire of the Sun. There's some like quite cool types of ruler like governments you can have. So if we go over to the realm laws, which are the civic and religious laws. There's some quite cool stuff you can do here. So investiture is your papal, and you decide whether or not inheritance of churches goes to who the Pope picks or who you pick, essentially. So if it's on free, the Pope likes you less. If it's on papal, the Pope gets to pick who inherits your duchy, bishoprics. Yeah, it should be on realm.
I was on laws. On realm. What's centralization, status war, and revoke?
Well, the problem is you get kingdom laws and you get basic laws. So what I'm doing is, I should have mentioned this before. When you're a duchy, you don't have 2 of these laws. So investiture only comes into terms when you're a kingdom. So that's where you get to choose if you're Pope, if the Pope, or you get to decide who inherits your bishoprics. Then you've got controlled realm inheritance. Again, you won't be able to see this one. But that controls whether or not it's illegal for titles to pass outside the realm. Yeah, so if that's not illegal, then say someone marries someone from Poland, and then they die, and their heir, he's a lord in Poland now, and then he gets the titles in the kingdom, and now Poland owns some of your kingdom. That's not great. But illegal will stop kind of like realm titles in your realm passing out of the realm. So you got centralization, which you can hover over them and see that they decide kind of if you want more vassal limit or more demesnes. So do you want to hold more land, or do you want your vassal to have more vassals and kind of delegate? It's like delegation. Do you want to be more in control or have more delegates? Essentially, delegate more land to everyone else. Status of women is how kind of like how equal you want women to be to men. So usually starts at traditional. You can bump that up a bit, but you need certain technologies to get it higher. Revoke title is whether or not you want to be allowed to revoke titles from your lords. Say you've got a troublesome lord, and you say, I need to get rid of them. If revoke titles allowed, you can just say, right, I'm taking your lands. The crown is taking your lands away from you. However, that will incur a penalty with the rest of the laws going, oh, well, we don't want him. Like, what that happens to us, so they don't like that.
Yeah.
However, if you've got religious revoke title, then if they are a different religion to you, then there's no penalty.
Ah, nice.
So that's quite useful.
Yeah.
Then administration is useful. So you've got a feudal, late, and imperial,
Yeah.
and that just decides kind of what kind of. It's got certain laws need different administrations. So like some laws need you to be in late administration, and so it's kind of you want to be advancing through it.
Yeah.
So you want to get to late, then you want to get into imperial because there are certain things need you to have certain things. For instance, imperial allows you to have a 25 extra vassals. So once you get to imperial, you can be like quite a large empire
Nice.
because it's kind of like how you administer your kingdom.
Minus 10 feudal vassals option though.
What?
Feudal vassal opinion minus 10 though.
Oh yeah, there's that as well. But like, so it's kind of again, nothing really comes. The good doesn't come without the bad.
Yeah.
So there's always positive and negative. So yeah, for everyone watching at home, the important thing to remember about most games is there are like consequences to stuff. So like changing laws is a big decision, and so don't take it lightly. Is tip number 3. Do not take changing laws lightly. Sometimes it's necessary. Like I like to increase the status of women to just kind of get them a bit more rights, a bit more equal, and stuff like centralization is important because you can, if you really need more land, then you can get more land. But having a lower vassal limit can be deadly. Obligations. What this decides is if you want certain like nobles, people who have cities, people who have churches, and the tribal vassals. If you want them to be paying more taxes or more troops. So levies and taxes right now are equal, and they start equal for everybody.
50-50.
Yeah, 50-50. So, but you can decide. Say you want people who have cities to be paying more taxes than they give levies. That kind of stuff.
Nice.
Council is, as I was talking about earlier,
Yeah.
how powerful your council is, so what they're allowed to do. So you can have your council abolished or empowered. If they're empowered, then you can have them decide stuff like war, revoke titles, imprisonment, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So passing these laws, not really recommended because it's pretty much giving power away from yourself.
Yeah, some of them are already on the council.
Depending on who you start as, some of them will start automatically as council controlled. So you just gotta, play the game like that.
Damn.
Next up, we get interesting stuff: technology.
But wait, the war
Yes,
declaration.
questions.
Yes, I'm annoyed. The war declaration is decided by the council. That frustrates me immensely.
You get a vote on the council member. So, and if you've got loyalists on the council, loyalists will always vote with you. Pragmatists tend to vote with you unless they've got stuff against it. So they'll say, "Oh yeah, we're too weak to fight them, so we won't vote for you." So it's pretty much you got to take into consideration people's votes, and you can still declare war on somebody without the council's consent, but you'll be considered a tyrant.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
So when you pass a law, the council votes on it as well. So that goes for all laws. So when you pass a law, the council will vote for it. So when you think, going back to the council stuff, you want to have people you can trust in the council to get stuff done.
Yeah.
So we go to technology, as I was saying earlier. You have there's a lot going on this screen.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah. Basically, this is the technology in your capital province.
Yeah.
And it usually at this time period it starts everything at 3.
Yeah.
And I won't go into all of this, but how it works is you can see you've got increase in technology points to the top, so it should be like plus 0.9, 0.8, that kind of level of stuff. So usually around 1 and below, sometimes a little bit above 1, and so those will tick over time, and then you can spend those points on technology, so like better castles for the economy stuff, better light infantry, etc. for the military, and like better, noble customs, majesty, all that stuff for the cultural stuff. So that's quite simple. And up the top right, you can see your trade post limit. So this only really plays into effect if you're either on the Silk Road or Merchant Republic. That's how many trade posts your technology allows.